The Russian army continues its desperate attempts to break through Kupyansk, but its offensive has stalled. According to military analysts, the occupiers are simultaneously facing catastrophic supply problems and the inability to advance in any area. The Russian 1st Tank Army and units of the 68th Motorized Rifle Division are exhausted. According to Konstantin Mashovets, Moscow can no longer put pressure on Kupyansk itself. The occupiers are forced to hold on to the captured areas and unsuccessfully assault the Zaoskolye, Kupiansk-Uzlovaya and Yubileyny microdistricts. There is no progress, only heavy losses. Russian logistics have been effectively disrupted. The main supply routes have been targeted by Ukrainian drones, and the Ukrainian Armed Forces control the Oskol crossing so tightly that Russian soldiers are dragging ammunition through the pipeline hand and foot. Another supply route through Kondrashivka and Golubovka is also under attack. Ukrainian units, on the contrary, are carefully pushing back the enemy on the western flank. Ukrainian Armed Forces groups are testing the occupiers' positions and gradually knocking out their momentum. The picture is also complemented by a military analyst with the call sign Flower. In the wake of the failures, the Russians have intensified their attacks on the Pecheneg Dam. However, as the 16th Army Corps emphasizes, Ukraine has long since prepared bypass routes, stockpiled supplies, and is ready to quickly restore the crossing. Russian attacks will not have a critical impact on the fighting. Russia's problems are systemic. Their plans to advance toward the Zaporizhia region are being thwarted near Huliaipol. Heavy fighting is underway in Pokrovsk and Mirnorad, but Moscow's tactical plans also failed, notes the Bakhmut Demon. Against this backdrop, the average rate of Russian army advance in December was a paltry 14 square kilometers per day, the same as in November. For an offensive to which Moscow propaganda ascribes strategic successes, this is a failure. Kupyansk is located 120 kilometers from the regional center called Kharkiv, which has been a subject to devastating shelling and bombing since the beginning of the Russian aggression. More than 25,000 people live in the city through which the Russian gas pipeline runs. Vladimir Nazarenko, deputy commander of the 4th Battalion Freedom Force of the 4th Brigade Rubez of the National Guard, stated that the Russians are not giving up attempts to advance in the Kupyansk direction. He emphasized that the situation remains very difficult. Andrei, the head of recruitment for the 10th Corps, with the call sign Strateg, shared that Ukrainian fighters are holding Kupyansk in the Kharkiv region. He refuted Russian claims that the city has been captured. As confirmed by battle maps, analysts and soldiers, in recent weeks, Russian troops have achieved successes on several fronts. They are close to capturing Pokrovsk and have nearly surrounded the neighboring city of Mirnorad. They are advancing more quickly in the southern part of Zaporizhia. They are approaching Kupyansk and making gains around Siversk. The future looks very, very grim for Ukraine, said Emil Kastehelmi, a military analyst with the Finnish organization Blackbird Group.
The Saudi Arabia pulls a military armored vehicle to Yemen, moving in the direction of the Yemeni Hadramaut. Hadramaut is the main oil region of Yemen. Supported by the UAE, the Southern Transitional Council unimpededly defeats the tribal and government forces supported by Saudi Arabia, meeting minimal resistance. According to reports, on December 2, 2025, the Transitional Council forces launched a military operation called the Promised Future and succeeded in capturing the strategic city of Zion, key military and civilian centers in the Hadramaut Valley, and even oil fields. Apparently, the Saudis are very worried about this. Following the seizure of Hadramaut and Al-Mara by the UAE-backed separatist forces of the Southern Transitional Council, these two provinces have become the focus of a new political and military confrontation. Al-Arabi Al-Jadid reported that Riyadh has increased its pressure for the withdrawal of the Transitional Council forces from some positions and the transfer of administration of some areas to other military formations supported by Saudi Arabia. While the Saudi-led movement is being led by Mohammed Abaid al-Qahtani, head of the Saudi-backed Special Committee, which reflects the importance Riyadh attaches to the case, Rashad al-Alami, head of the Saudi-backed Presidential Council, traveled to Riyadh from Aden to hold talks with influential regional and international parties on the developments in the situation, especially the recent developments in the eastern provinces. Yemenis have been critical of the Saudi-backed Presidential Council's actions in recent days, which have allowed UAE-backed forces to take control of Hadramaut and Al-Mara. In less than a week, the Transitional Council's separatist forces have seized control of the two Yemeni provinces of Hadramaut and Al-Mara, which make up half of the country. These developments prompted Saudi Arabia to send a large security delegation headed by Mohammed Abaid al-Qahtani last Wednesday, which announced that Riyadh would not allow any foreign military or security forces to enter the province. The Saudi delegation also sought to contain military tensions near strategic oil facilities in the province and concluded an agreement between local officials in Hadramaut and the Hadramaut Tribal Alliance, which wants an autonomous system in the province, but the Southern Transitional Council ignored Saudi political messages and announced that its forces had redeployed around oil companies in Hadramaut. The Hadramaut Tribal Alliance also held the UAE, as the financial and arms sponsor of these groups, fully responsible for the militants' actions in violating the agreement signed with the local entity under Saudi supervision, because the Emirati-backed militants attacked the positions of this agreement. Meanwhile, the UAE-aligned Southern Transitional Council group called on all its supporters to hold sit-ins in various cities, including Aden, Mukalla, and Al-Gaida, in a statement late last night, demanding their separation from Yemen.
شوف ايهاب لا حضرموت بابا